I know that you guys aren't all going to be hatching eggs, but I'm just going to show you some of the stuff that I do that I've kind of figured out over the last season of hatching. This is the first time I'm doing quail egg, but I'm going to set it up the same way I do for my chicken eggs, just to give you some, this is what I do. So the first thing I do is I have mine set up in my laundry room, and it's on like a table that's installed. I'll show you. So it's on this table where I need to sweep under there. But anyway, where I keep like my bulk things underneath the table. But see how the table is just right here? That's important. The reason that's important is because it's just a thin shelf. So temperature can be lost underneath it. And it's something that like I was trying to figure out how to stabilize my temperature as much as possible. And one of the things people talked about was like, if you have your incubator set up on like an open rack, like you're gonna get a lot more air movement. And so if it's cold or hot around it, you could change the temperatures. But also things like tables that don't have much under it and everything else. So I started using, this is a flannel pillowcase, and it's just folded in half, and on the inside I have a piece of aluminum foil, and it's just to keep the heat and keep it where it's at so that we don't lose heat through the bottom of the table. I didn't record that. I'm loading the egg tray. It is for chicken eggs, so it's too big for quail eggs. That's okay. I have a quail egg coming on Tuesday. So I'm gonna go ahead and load these and get them going, and then when that tray comes, I'll switch it out. I don't worry about opening my incubator. When I need to, I just do it. Because in nature, the chickens that are doing all of this stuff so perfectly and naturally, sitting on their eggs and keeping them perfectly humidified and temperaturized and everything, those chickens, they do all of this, right? And they get up and go and eat, and they leave their babies here and there. And when that happens, the humidity and the temperature drops a bit, and that's okay. So I just try to be as quick as possible and as gentle. So it's about not dropping or smushing eggs while we're also trying to be, you know, what's the word? What's the word? What's the word? Like, efficient. We want to be efficient with our time. Like, we want to get it done whenever we have to open it, but we don't have to panic, if that makes sense. So also, I'm going to load these in. I'm going to load 2 into a hole at a time, and I'm just going to let it go. And then when the other one comes, I'll load them properly. So it'll be fine. I truly believe it'll be fine. For a fun reference, just to show you, like, this is a quail egg. That's our average size chicken egg. This is like a kind of smaller of the quail eggs that I have. I would say this is probably one of the largest ones that I have. So for size reference, these are gonna be teeny, tiny little chicks. It's gonna be crazy. So I'm gonna hatch these quail, and that's Walter hearing me talk and wanting to come in here. I'm gonna, so immediately, pretty much, once this is going, my next couple of projects will be painting and getting brooders ready for quail. And of course I'll share that process as well. But what I was gonna say was, I'm gonna hatch these. I don't know, we'll see how successful we are. But this is all the quail I'm doing, I believe. Depending, if we get no hatches, I'll do them again. But if we get several, this is where I'm stopping. Look at this baby egg. And I think I won't be hatching chicken eggs until later in the season, because I will be hatching for blue eggs. And maybe for some green egg layers. Like I really love our brown assortment right now. I think we're doing quite well with that. And I'm gonna look for more colors, but I also like this, like, sizes. So all right, we are loaded, so let's just get it set up. If you were here last season, you've seen these, but this is my hydrometer thermometer. I have some that don't have screens, they just wirelessly talk to the phone, but I wanted one that I could place in the incubator and easily see it even when my phone wouldn't connect. So I'm going to stick this inside of there. And yeah, we're going to test the egg turner. Yeah, we have movement. Awesome. That's enough. It just needs to turn them. They said that there's a, see how this one, let's test it again and see how that one that's up. Yeah, they're gonna get moved. Maybe I could spread them out more. Let's see. We're gonna focus on these single guys and the big and just see if they move. Yeah, they're moving. All right, we're gonna leave it like this and just see what happens. Trying to have a way more relaxed attitude about this, right? Way more relaxed. That's the goal. This year's goal is to get ahead of the system, to put some good systems in place for winter, and to be way more relaxed. Side note, I know that for my system, I need to have this set at 101 so that I can get a steady 100. Now, they say the ideal temperature is 99.5. However, I found that I couldn't keep 99.5. If I aimed for that, I would drop too low or too high, or it would just vary. I don't know why, but that's what would happen. If I set it at 101, I get a steady 100, and actually 100 is fine. So we're gonna go with that. I'm also gonna give it a minute to see what its natural humidity sits at, because for quail eggs, I believe that the ideal humidity is between 40 and 50. And right now it's at 45. So we will see what happens as it warms up. I'll check back in with it in like an hour, and I'll add water or adjust as necessary. So it's happening, guys. Here's our first hatch or incubation. We'll see if we get a hatch. All right, this is why we keep the Govey in there, because 101, not true. It's about 99 to 99.5. It's kind of ranging. And then this says 35% humidity, but it's actually reading about 29%. So I am gonna set up my auto feed water situation. And this is also known as the shoelace trick. Okay, let's get started. We have our container of water. It's got this little sealed like spot, vent spot, but I took out the little rubber vent to make the hole bigger so that I could have a covered container of water sitting here. And I'm going to put it next to where the water goes into the incubator. Move the incubator over a little bit. Move my little container. Great. I'm gonna add a little bit of water into the side that you add the water, and then I'm gonna take a shoestring and push it in to the incubator water reservoir, and then thread it back into the water container I have next to it. Cutting the ends off. This is actually a pair of scissors I use to make my feed bags into totes, but it'll work. So, and then you kind of wet this. So I'm putting it into this cup of water that I have. I'm gonna kind of wet it, because the goal is to get it to like basically weep water from the container that's here and into, like, as the incubator's humidity falls, it like sucks water out of this container, and so you're not always having to monitor and add water. It just kind of self-regulates. It's really quite neat, and it works pretty well for the beginning phase of the incubation process. If you are dry hatching, obviously you don't do this. Now there's dry hatching, which is where you add no moisture and you just let the world do what it wants. And I have read a lot of articles about that. People do that in Texas and in Louisiana, where the humidity is naturally high. Other people do it in really dry climates where the humidity is like nothing. And you know, you get various results, but I find that a set it and forget it approach like this is really nice, because it just keeps it from getting too dry, but also isn't something you have to constantly be panicking about. I don't want to constantly panic.